Oh, I'm live. Live. Oh dear. I don't know why I'm going live. Just felt like it, really. Just felt like it. Just had some water. It's getting very dry here. But anyway, it's a funny old thing, isn't it, really? I was listening to a lecture just now. Well, there's still quite a bit to go, by a guy called A.L. Rouse. And he's giving a lecture. He's giving a lecture in America. Oh, hello, Astrid. How are you doing there? Hope you're doing well. Good evening. It's coming up to midnight here on the 2nd of May. Yeah, so I was saying I was just listening to I'll do that thing. Invite guest. Hello, Simone. How are you doing? Well, I hope you're doing well, Simone. Copy. Oh, how do I do that now? I had a go at doing the StreamYard thing, and it nearly drove me mad today. Trying to get yeah, not a bad weekend, thanks. Hope you're doing well. Oh, any topics to be entrenched by? Yeah, yeah, all the time, just entrenched. I hope you're both and everyone's having a good weekend. Hope Tony's all right. I know Jenny found, as did I and everyone else, I'm sure, but Jenny found what Tony was talking about really helpful, and she's gone off and been doing these videos about Sharples and people like that. And you're entrenched by life. I know I am as well. Oh God, I'm entrenched by life. What does it mean? We've got no choice, have we? We've got no choice. Yeah, I was just watching this lecture by this Shakespearean scholar. Well, he's a historian. And he's talking about Shakespeare and the fact that he needed to make a living, you know, because he had 3 children by the age he was 21. He's 21 years old. And he had 3 children, so he was like gravitated towards acting eventually, but may have been doing some school teaching. Simone says the plot thickens. Tony's good. Oh, good. And he's working. He's not around tonight. He was very surprised to hear Jenny shout out. Oh, that's brilliant. And then I did a short video like shouting out Jenny, and but I put it in the comment there as well. But because I knew that from what Jenny was saying, what Tony was saying was very, it was lighting up some kind of ideas and thoughts, because I think there's more to it, you know. And I don't know what there is. I don't know what the more to it is, you know, exactly. I mean, who does? But it's an uneasy feeling. It's a really kind of uneasy feeling of that there's something. I don't want to go too far, but I don't know if anybody saw that weird video I did called Cabal, with the kind of music from like The Omen or The Exorcist. But it's that kind of direction I think in sometimes. That I'm not saying it's demonic, but there's something that's, I don't know what it is, but it's not ordinary. It's not an ordinary sequence. It can't be just an ordinary sequence of events that allowed one so-called expert to run the whole show in conjunction with the police and the doctors, as you know, effectively running it. I mean, there's so many different ways of looking at it, and I'm not saying I know what it is, but it's creepy. It's really, really creepy stuff. I don't know if anybody would agree. I mean, I think it's, yeah, I put that. I need to make the words bigger because my eyes are going. How do I do that? Well, it's only on 75%, but it makes the picture smaller. Oh, that's a bit better. I can read the words now. Definitely good. She's looking into it more. Yeah. So Black Squareable and Jenny are doing that. You know, off the back of what Tony was saying, and their own things they're looking into. And what Black Squareable was talking about, that guy, and I've forgotten his name now. The guy, the yacht that sank, and there was the other guy that was run over when he was jogging. There's some weird stuff going on. It's a bit like this thing. I don't know if anyone's heard about quite a lot of scientists in America either turning up dead or going missing. Scientists that are related to energy in different ways. Energy, different forms of energy, nuclear energy, possibly other kinds of energy that they know about. I really want to get rid of that number because it freaks me out. I don't want to know how many people are. How do I get rid of it? There's so many things on like social media and stuff that you don't want to know and you don't want to see it because it's just a distraction. Yeah, exactly. Like Professor David Kelly. Who was the guy that did the inquiry, and he termed it, I watched a whole lot of stuff about that once, and yeah, they got the right guy for that job. What was his name again? Let me have a look. I'll just look it up. Who did David Kelly inquiry? I know if somebody will know. Well, it wasn't Lord Hutton. Yeah, the Hutton guy. So, and I've got, what have I got there? StreamYard. Complete whitewash, yeah. Yeah, that's right, Simone. Yeah, there's kind of a bit of a to and fro between Black Squareable and Jenny, back and forth, and around the sorts of things that, that Tony was talking about as well. Because, well, what is another thing? Well, I'll keep up with the things. Yeah, but David Kelly, I know, that was terrible. Sophia Duplantis. Yeah, that would be interesting. I'd have to listen or reread some stuff to kind of get it into the forefront of my mind again. But I was really taken by, there was a series called I think it's called West Cork. Was it called West Cork? And it was a really good podcast series, just audio. It was fantastic. That was my introduction to it. And then for a while, before he passed away, I used to follow the guy that they suspected and they tried to get for it, but he couldn't leave Ireland, could he? But he's died not that long ago. This is Sophia Duplantis, a French lady who had been, I don't know if she was divorced, but she had been married to somebody very well known in France in the film industry. Is that right, Simone? But then she had this kind of nice cottage, or quite a large house actually, down in West Cork, which looks beautiful. Oh, Mervyn says he thinks it is demonic. I'll just do the other post before that. We followed that closely, even ventured to Skull. You followed him as well. It's funny, isn't it? We all do these kinds of things, and I'm not the only one. Mervyn, I've been seeing some of your tweets lately, and it seems like, I'm not saying that you didn't think it before, but it's like I can see that you're. I don't know if you've changed your mind about it, but I can sense that you're kind of feeling really strongly about it, and particularly to do with some of the. Because on Twitter, there's a lot of, you might call them trolls, so I don't know who they are really, but they can kind of wind you up and stuff, But yeah, so Mervyn does think it's demonic. That's correct. I'm convinced Bailey was guilty. Yeah, I'm not sure. I did listen or watch some follow-up things about it, and I began to wonder about this theory about it being a police officer. They're called Angada Shiakana, aren't they? Which I think means the security, the security guards in Irish. Hi, Chariots of Wire. Nice to see you. Don't let unknown people on chat, Mark. No unexpected visitors again. Well, see, I can't keep an eye on it all too totally because they just appear. But and in some ways, you kind of want new people to come in, don't you? But I'll try and avoid. I'll try and avoid it if if someone's obviously trying to upset people, or I can always try to ask them to leave, or I'll ask them to leave. Do you mind leaving, sir? Sorry, you've had enough. You've had enough shandies, No, because there was the one the other time they did that sort of porn attack thing, didn't they? They tried that again. It's like it's like one of their only tricks, isn't it? It's bizarre, but I still really regret that because just drinking water tonight because you've got to be focused. I've got to be focused for all this kind of stuff, shenanigans. But we could talk about other things as well, if you want to talk about other things or talk about anything. But yeah, Sophia de Plantier. But that's interesting, Simone. So you did feel that he was guilty. He passed away now. I think he died I think he had a fall in the street. This is you mentioned his name. Bailey. What's his first name? Sophie de Plantier. What was his first name? Something Bailey, was it? I'm looking up. So Ian Bailey. He was a striking looking character. A fall, yeah. He was a striking looking character, very tall, and he had been a journalist. I think he'd lived around the Cheltenham area at one point, and that struck me because I think he worked kind of out of a kind of a press organisation, like a small time thing, or he'd set one up near Cheltenham. And I used to live in Cheltenham for a few years, quite some time ago. But yeah, I'll try Chariots. He was unsavoury. He did, yeah. I mean that did come out, didn't it? And she did stick by him until a certain point, and then stopped. But he'd gone over there to like have a new start in his life. This is Ian Bailey. This would be another one to look into, but I don't know if it'll ever be. Well, he was convicted. He was convicted in absentia. Is that the phrase in France? There's probably a French way of saying that. I don't know it. So much so that if he have gone to England, he could have been extradited. Extradited, is that the word? Not expedited. Extradited to France, and obviously couldn't have gone to France. I thought Ian Bailey was the individual who murdered his wife in Royston. Well, it could be another one. That could be another one of the same name. She was oh gosh, no, I know that one. That's another one of the same name, and there's some really very moving videos about that because you see that lady. Let me look at her name. She was a children's author. She was a children's author, but his name was. So her name was Bailey. So her name was Helen Elizabeth Bailey. She's born in August '64, just the year before I was born. But she was murdered by her fiance, a guy called Ian Stewart. So it's a kind of a mixture. So Astrid, I can totally understand why you'd think that, because it's kind of a mixture. So his name was Ian, but it was Ian Stewart, and her name was Helen Bailey. But that was a very sad thing because they'd met online, which is always I mean, maybe it does work for people, but they'd met online because they were both on this group to do with people who had lost their partners. But as it turned out with Ian Stewart, it was quite like, I think he was ended up being convicted of murdering his first wife as well. But ostensibly he was on there as someone going through this, how to deal with the grief of losing your partner. And Helen Bailey, the children's author, had lost her husband. They'd gone on holiday and he'd drowned in this kind of freak accident. But no, it's a very, and her poor little dog was there as well, and it's kind of in the garage, in the kind of drainage or cesspit type of thing. It's dreadful. But he just looked like an ordinary guy, kind of thing. But I did think when you watch the documentaries about them, I thought, well, what did she see in him at all? I don't know. But what does anybody see in anyone? You know, it's weird, isn't it? It's weird. I think he did have violent initially they thought his first wife, this is Ian Stewart now, that his first wife died of, she had some kind of condition and they thought that was the reason, but I think he was convicted. I'll just check that now. Ian Stewart, I'm pretty sure that they got him for both murders. Yes, that's right. So he was married to Diane Stewart. He's got a double murder conviction of Helen Bailey, the children's author, who was his fiancée, and Diane Stewart. See, he claimed that his first wife collapsed in their garden, but a post-mortem investigation revealed that her death was most likely caused by prolonged restriction to her breathing from an outside source, such as a neck hold. But the other thing with him is that he was slowly poisoning Helen Bailey with prescription sedatives, and she thought, sorry, I clicked on the bloody Tai Chi everywhere, isn't it? I'm clicking on the wrong things. I've got to do that. So yeah, I think he's doing a whole life tariff. I think that's right. But they'd met. Oh yeah, Ian Bailey was, sorry. So Ian Bailey, there was a breakup of his first marriage, wasn't there? So do you think, is that right? Was there was like violence or coercive control or something there for his first wife in England? So he went for a new start, didn't he, to Skull? Good Lord. I just started watching. I used to watch true crime all the time, but then I thought it was really getting to me mentally. So, but now and again, I still watch some things. But it's like that. It's like that thing they did a Netflix on, The Staircase. Did anybody see The Staircase? Whereas you've got this American novelist, and his wife allegedly falls down the stairs and has got all these indentations or like not scarring, what do you call it? Very serious wounds in her head that may have also been caused by what they thought was a fire poke, or like something that you poke a fire with. You think he was guilty too? I think he's an odd guy, that guy, isn't he? That writer. He always sounded to me like he's just totally performing all the time. But that's the weird thing. I don't know if I've never been on a jury, so I'm not sure I want to be on one. But they've never asked me, They've never asked me anyway. Gosh, it's midnight, so it's Sunday already. That's the thing, isn't it? These people don't emerge out of nowhere. No, they don't. There's a history with them, and that's, well, talking back about Lucy. There's no history of anything. Everything is so demonstrably, well, normal. Totally normal. There's nothing, there are no signs, and that's why this is so unfathomable. Why you'd get all these people saying that she's like the one of the worst serial killers. It's just so bizarre. It's just so bizarre. Yes, well, that's right. That was in Germany. There was a neighbour, and they were kind of friends, or like two couples, weren't they, in Germany? And this is talking about what's his name now? I should be able to. I can't remember all the names. I'll look him up. So the staircase. So this is talking about Michael Peterson. He was a novelist, and his wife Kathleen Peterson. So that happened in 2001. But yeah, they had neighbours just down the road. I started watching something about Woody Allen as well. Stewart Peterson, thank you. Thanks very much. We all know Lucy's innocent, so clear. Yeah, absolutely is. On the consortium of misfits, there's some lovely videos being done about that, and then there was one looking at, or like somebody's point of view of Lucy's face, and there's a very open face and honest person, and it's just crazy, isn't it? Stewart Peterson. Michael Peterson. Yeah. Oh, Stewart. So maybe because the other guy we were talking about, who weirdly the person his fiance that he murdered she was a writer. She was a successful writer. I don't know why she got involved with him, but these people are kind of very manipulative, aren't they? And they're going to do the love bombing thing, and they're going to do all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Or there's Scott Peterson. See, that's something else. That's another one. But there's a lot of people think that, the house across the road with the Scott Peterson thing was being burglarized. There's the issue about the dog, and whether, I can't remember the lady's name in that Scott Peterson. Was it? Let me look that up. Names are escaping me. Scott Peterson. So he's getting help from the Innocence Project. Scott Lacey Peterson is the poor lady, the mum. Lacey, thank you. And she was pregnant, wasn't she? And it's very, very sad. And Mervyn, Mervyn thinks that he was guilty of the staircase one. But there was a theory that it was an owl. I don't know if that came. I never saw the Netflix thing, but I watched. Or did I see it? No, I don't think I would have done, because I haven't got Netflix. So I haven't got Netflix, but I've seen a bunch of other stuff about it. But there was this theory that it was an owl. So these, I can't think of the word, like kind of deep scratches, deep marks. There's another word for it. Lacerations. I'm mixing up all the cases now. I'm mixing them all up. Not Lacey Peterson. I've forgotten the other lady's name. Did we say it? Lacey Peterson is related to the other Peterson. Some people now think Scott Peterson is innocent. Yeah, he's being represented by the Innocence Project. And a lot of the argument is around this idea that there was a burglary going on around that same time, and this strange car in the house across the way. Lacey Roach. I don't know Lacey Roach. I don't know her, but I'll look her up then. Lacey Roach. Who's that? Lacey Roach. No, I haven't got any hits on that. But yeah, I don't know. It's just weird, isn't it? It's just weird. Astrid says, sorry, my nose is all itching. Astrid says, it goes to show you how imperfect all of this criminal investigation stuff is. It is. It is. I mean, it's not like, I don't know, it's just, God. It's just water. It's not vodka. No, I totally agree there. Well, he basically did plead guilty anyway. Somehow he got off with time served. Who's that again then? Sorry. Oh, the guy. Did he do something called the Alford plea? But he got off with time served. There's that thing in America, I don't know if it's in Britain, called the Alford plea, in which you don't acknowledge guilt, but you kind of make a pleading to say you're not going to contest it, because you think if it went to a full trial, you would be bound to be found guilty, but you're not admitting responsibility, as it were, but you're not fighting it either, and it's called an Alford plea. I don't know if that's just in America though, because it's a different system, isn't it? Alford plea. Well, it might be in the UK. Oh, it's in US law. So where the defendant maintains their innocence, so it's maintaining innocence, but admits that the prosecution has enough evidence to likely secure a conviction. So there's that. That's a bit different. But yeah, he's out, that guy then, the writer guy, Michael Peterson. Michael Peterson. Doesn't help that everybody's called Peterson, is it? You know, there's just too many Petersons. Nothing against anybody who might be called Peterson, but House of Dragon. Hi, House of Dragon. People read a lot into Scott Peterson's mannerisms. He wasn't crying, so he was guilty. Usual bollocks. Yeah. I mean, I've seen the initial interviews that he had, because I've got really stuck on watching interrogations or police interviews as well. Some of them are fascinating, actually. Some of them are really irritating, but so I knock those off. But the Canadian ones are really interesting, because they've got there's this guy up there that, what's his name, like something Smith or something, but he's an amazing investigator. And he's the guy that interviewed that Air Force commander, somebody high up in the Canadian Air Force, who was a serial killer in his hometown while being this high up. I'm not sure, I can't remember the exact rank he had, but he was right up there in the Air Force. But he is a brilliant investigator. Something Smith. John Smith. It's something very sort of plain like that. Yeah, and all that stuff. Was it Detective Stonier said something about, it's very insulting, like the beige thing. I mean, I don't even know what that means. It's just, but I don't know if it was you, Mervyn, or other people. I think Chris has said it as well, that the police are used to dealing with, quite often, people who are guilty of things, and so maybe they got a lot of, you can pick up a very jaundiced view of people and think that, well, if they're here, they must have done something wrong, or, you know, it's like all the members of the Hummingbird team. They're thinking, well, I'm not going to mess up this fantastic opportunity. I'm just going to go along with it all. Like that guy they get out of retirement, the guy that's kind of half asleep. He's, you know, that guy. he's like sort of leaning back, and they got him out of retirement. He was a detective constable. But, hi Tim, nice to see you. Hi Joe. Yeah, I was feeling a bit under the weather before, but thank you for that. Scott Peterson was having an affair whilst his wife was pregnant after she was killed. Makes him an asshole, but not necessarily a murderer. Yeah, he was having an affair. So his wife is ostensibly missing, and he's going to all these vigils and things like that, and he's having an affair with a lady whose name is Scott Peterson affair. You can't keep it on in your head. Amber Frey. But Amber Frey didn't know that he was the guy that had a missing wife and child. She didn't know. She was really upset. We had a serial killer here, and nearly all the cornflakes. I thought it was good one. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, I hope it was caught. Do you remember those like variety boxes of all the? I don't know if they still do them. I think they might do them like for B&Bs. Like the variety boxes, they're very tiny. You get like about 15. Wouldn't make a proper breakfast, but like you get Frosties, cornflakes, Cocoa Pops. There's 8 of them, and there was 8 of them in a box, in a kind of like a cellophane, all wrapped together. The variety, yeah. Golden Nuggets was a cereal back in the 70s and 80s that I don't think they do it anymore. But a bit of cereal nostalgia. Golden Nuggets. I don't know if anyone remembers those. I think they went the way of the Spangle, and they went the way of Old Jamaica, a chocolate bar, which was absolutely beautiful chocolate bar that they now and again bring back. Hi Liz. Hi, cup of tea with poetry. Hi Liz, lovely to see you. Variety, yeah. So Mervyn says, hi Joe. Yeah, feeling a bit better, thanks. Gosh, 26 people. I'm trying to not know how many people are here because it's just called Saturday night in an English village because, well, that's where I am, but other people might be not in England, and they also might not be in a village. But anyway, that's beside the point. Did I do I'll put the share thing on again. Look, nobody has to come on if you don't want to come on, obviously. But they destroyed Golden Nuggets, yeah. Cup of tea says, and all. Police and media often don't seem to understand not crying doesn't make someone guilty. Absolutely. In fact, real psychopaths and narcissists often turn on crocodile tears and other fake stuff. Absolutely, they do. I was just saying a bit earlier, Liz, I don't know if you were there then, about been watching loads of, over the last 18 months, particularly loads of police interviews, police interrogations, and often when the people are guilty, well, assuming they're guilty, but a lot of people can do the crying thing. And I know this is a whole other topic, but Charlie Kirk and Charlie Kirk's wife has been criticised for apparently crying, but not actually crying. But I don't know what people feel about that. It's quite a convoluted, complex situation, that with Turning Point UK, and whether that young man that they apparently got for it, whether he even had anything to do with it at all, and the gun, and the caliber of that gun in relation to the wound, and the fact it was alleged to have not gone through. I mean, it's all very gruesome, but I think that's another kind of a JFK type of stitch up. Finding a patsy, you know, for that. But I totally agree, Liz. You know, people, they can do that, can't they? I mean, sometimes they do it well, and sometimes they don't do it well at all. But some people are really good at doing that, and they convince people. Like Ted Bundy was obviously convinced quite a lot of people, and some people really liked him. You know, he used to be on a suicide hotline. Or a hotline for people who have emotional problems, and people said he was great at it, but didn't change what he actually did or what he was. They destroyed golden nuggets. They did, Andy. Yeah, awful. I like crunchy nut cornflakes. I haven't had them for a while. I started going on this phase of trying to get cereals without any sugar, but they're really expensive, so I've drifted back to cereals with sugar, or I have porridge. We'd rather porridge in the morning. But yeah, crunchy nut cornflakes are good. I like them with a banana and stuff like that. Toys. Oh, see, that's another thing. That's. Thank you for bringing that up, Liz. Toys in cereal boxes. That used to be fantastic, and used to like delve all the way through. I've got to. Please let it be here. And sometimes it was. Usually, maybe it was probably wrapped up into something, a covering, but maybe not always. It's all the health and safety stuff has ruined all that for us. I don't know if Mervyn's still there. If you are, Mervyn, or Mervyn, you put a tweet up I saw about the old-fashioned bags of crisps that had little bags of salt inside them that you opened and then you tipped into the crisp and shook it up yourself. That was another bit of blast from the past. Yeah, that's fascinating, Liz. Yeah, I used to love those because I collected things, whatever it was. I can't remember what they were, like little toys, stuff like that. Astrid says, I craved crunchy nuts so bad when I was pregnant. Can take it or leave it now. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? That and sometimes it can be quite. I've heard quite unusual foodstuffs or drinks when women are pregnant and they get these cravings. It's funny, isn't it? Kind of understand something like crunchy nut because it's like sweet. It's probably gives you energy and stuff like that. It's yeah, the scary story in Kersley Village. Yeah, Kersey Village. Mervyn's here. I'm going to add Mervyn to the stage in just a second. Yeah, Tim did a fantastic story over on a consortium of misfits. If anybody here that would like to subscribe, there's lots of different stories going on about spooky things and the uncanny and everything. So I'm just going to add Mervyn now. And Andy's talking about. I'll just say Andy's. I'll try and keep up with the Manchester Airport case. Remember the Rent Boy case compared to Lucy. Rent Boy, is that in relation to? Is that the Starmer thing? It's not. Is that the Star? Anyway, we'll find out. Hello, Mervyn. Welcome to whatever this is.
All right, Mark. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm feeling a bit grey, as you can see. A bit grey.
All right, yeah, good.
Yeah. How are you? How are you doing?
Yeah, if I have to quickly disappear on a phone call, just forgive me.
You're forgiven.
Well, you were talking about the police dealing with criminals, and maybe having that that mindset of
Yeah.
whoever they're dealing with is a criminal or whatever. But I think it actually works both ways as well. So that because they've got, because they are dealing with criminals all the time, they should also be able to know when someone isn't. And there's actually this clip of Lucy Letby's arrest, and I was going to make a little video about it, but and ironically, it was this clip I saw on one of Liz Hull's articles. She it was clipped in the middle of there. I don't know if she chose it or not. But it was a clip from the Netflix arrest. Okay, but it's not about Lucy Letby. It's with the arrest footage. It's notable that some of the policemen have got their faces blurred, but when Lucy's upstairs and sort of crying, and there's this one officer, a woman, and her face isn't blurred at all, and she's just showing so much compassion, and it's sort of, I don't know if you know the sketch from Family Guy where Stewie the baby is going, "You want a soda?" I'll have to. I don't know. It's quite. It's sort of a famous one. I can't hear you, Mark.
I muted myself while I was blowing my nose, and then but Family Guy is funny, isn't it? But I don't know that one. But if you do, maybe do a video of it. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so this female officer is just showing so much compassion, going like, do you want to take these shoes or some other shoes, and just the look on her face of consoling Letby. It's like it's just not a way that someone would treat a criminal. And I think I'm going to commend that female officer who was there, because she didn't have her face hidden. They must have asked her. Because other officers did have their faces hidden, and she was like, no, she obviously consented to her face being shown.
That's really interesting, Mervyn. In the sense, the first thing I think about that is, did she not have her face hidden, or they didn't hide her face because she's no longer in Hummingbird, or she's left the area, or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was. I don't think it was a detective or anything. I just think it was a normal ground officer.
Oh, okay, yeah. It wasn't that lady. What's her name now? It's got the same name as the doctor. It wasn't that one.
Holt. I don't think so. No. I think it was just I think it was just a normal officer. But basically what I was trying to say is, there's no way that arresting woman thought that Letby was a criminal. The way she was talking to her, like, do you want to get this instead? And
do you know? Would that be the third and final arrest that film was from?
I can't remember which. I can't remember which one it was.
Because what I don't know if this is how pertinent this is. Well, I think it has been, because of is that they did have body cam footage of all three arrests, but they only supplied the CPS with footage of the final arrest.
The last one, yeah, that's right.
The last one, and they supplied the CPS and therefore the defence with a written description of the first two arrests, but not the film footage. But they did have film footage, apparently.
Yeah, but it's like, why would you feel that you need to supply them with it? Like, whoever thought that you would be asked some ridiculous questions about pajamas in the first place to do with baby murders?
Well, that's true. I suppose you never know what might have been said in those first two arrests that might have been caught by the body cam, or where they were going in the house, because it might have involved certain things they saw in the house that were visible on those body cams of the various officers of the first 2 arrests, and also the reaction of Lucy Letby. So that film is apparently there, unless they've wiped it or lost it, in quotes, lost it. But they didn't supply it, and it just makes me wonder why they didn't supply it. And the CPS have confirmed to me in a FOI that they
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
didn't receive it. So it's possible that there's nothing useful or of note there, but you just don't know, do you? You just don't know. There could be something.
No.
It's just,
I don't know.
well, it's all this stuff, you know, all the thing, and this, I know you've spoken about this a lot, and you do online and on Twitter, about the mistake, the Netflix thing about the box, you know, with save, and people keep saying, oh, they're all in there in order, you know, there's like hundreds of these notes, so that, and that myth keeps being perpetuated.
Yeah, and I honestly, that was strange, because honestly, I just thought nothing of it, and then for some reason everyone else is like thinks it's a big deal. So I mean, they must have said that for a reason. It's just strange.
It's strange when they do stuff that can be relatively easily, you can show that it's not true. It's like Chief Constable Roberts saying, "Oh no, yeah, there's no statisticians ever appear in court ever. They've never done it." And I don't know if everyone, and yourself, Mervyn, saw the most recent tete-a-tete with Chris and Professor Hutton about that, and Professor Hutton was quite scathing about, you know, in a measured way, but scathing about Chief Constable Roberts, based on the statements that he was making. Because he also said, oh, basically, oh, no, we never had anything in effect to do with, but they had, you know, they'd agreed terms and all that kind of stuff, hadn't they? You know.
But the prosecution's closing speech was full of language about what are the chances of this, what are the chances of that, coincidence, coinkydink.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all over it, isn't it? And even before any kind of trial, the whole notion of anybody at the hospital kicking this thing off by asking for rotas. Well, what are you going to do when you start looking for rotas? And aside from the fact they're not including doctors, you're going to start looking at how many times someone was there when certain things happen. So you're already in that world of it there, aren't you? Effectively, whether you're doing any precision statistics or not, you're in that world of looking at probabilities. But I don't know if you've seen, Mervyn, Black Squarables and Jenny's recent videos, but they're going, and this is a lot to do with what Simone, who's left the chat now, but her partner Tony was talking about the previous chief executive or chief of the board of executives at the hospital, a guy called, the name's gone out of my head now, Sharples. Sharples was a former very high-level police officer who'd headed up various constabularies around the country for about 30 years, and so that's interesting, looking into the background of some people. Wild Magic Joe's saying something about it here. Oh, did I put that up? From what Jenny and Black have found out, the upper management, Sharples, Stephen Cross at the COCH, both had 30 years plus with the police.
Yeah, Stephen Cross was an ex-policeman, yeah. But he was, I really liked Stephen Cross. I actually thought he would be, I actually thought he was one of the candidates that Cheshire Police had arrested. I thought he was the third person.
Oh, really? Really?
I don't know, but no. I mean, I think he was, you know, he was very much on side with the truth. If you read his witness statement, and I think, but he wasn't asked. I don't think he did appear at Thirlwall. I think maybe he was unwell or something.
Yeah, he could have been unwell. But what was I going to say about that? Oh, I keep having these fugues. There's so much, because I think we're talking about so many. House of Dragons says getting a man is ambitious. Yeah, I don't think Amanda would probably come on this little stream that we do, but she's getting great. That has had a huge amount of views. The interview that she did with Andrew Gold, I think.
Yeah, that Heretics guy gets a lot of views anyway. Yeah,
he's a massive channel. I think that's.
But people don't appreciate how difficult it is to speak without hesitation and with such clarity, and the way Amanda Knox talks about the case and is able to control the conversation and get all of the points across. It's a real skill, and especially when you're doing it in front of an audience, perhaps, or that there is going to be a big audience watching, and to be able to just speak like that without umming and ahhing, it's such a skill, and she's so good at it.
She is incredibly good at it. I don't think I couldn't do it, because in a weird way, for me, that just the way my mind works is that unless I'm in my own kind of comfort zone, I think I wouldn't know I'd be like, I don't know where to start with this. And I don't know what to say first, what's the most important. I think but what she is doing, like you're saying, she's very concise, and she's not giving them openings. She was shutting down some of those things which kept on talking about kind of emotional manipulation, like what do you think of the parents are feeling, and stuff like that. She wasn't being thrown by the, on the Good Morning Britain one, for example. She wasn't being
yeah. I mean, I had to delete a few tweets because people got really annoyed or got really upset with something that I said. Well, all I was basically trying to say is that, for whatever reason, that a lot of the British people just don't like her. I mean, even though she does speak so well on the topic and everything, it's just a fact that a lot of people don't like her. And I ended up having to delete this and that, and I just keep my mouth shut now.
Well, you absolutely got your right to your own assessment of that and your own view of that. And like I watched brilliant channel Common Sense Guru, and Common Sense Guru is of a kind of a similar sort of more ambivalent view, shall we say, or whatever. And everyone's got the right to their perspectives on that. As it's kind of turning out, even if there is that ambivalence there, and there probably is in certain quarters, without a doubt. But I think she's moving the needle there in terms of in terms of the podcast itself, which is really well produced, isn't it? And it's consolidating a lot of elements and a lot of people, and is really kind of digestible for people that haven't been with this for a long time.
And I think there are a lot of people out there who do still think Amanda Knox is guilty of something or other. But even if they do think that about Knox, they could still listen to what she's got to say about Letby and learn something, and still then think that Letby's innocent. Even if they've got a negative view about Knox. But I've just got this feeling that some people, like, if they don't like someone, then they're going to sort of automatically turn against the thing that they're sort of promoting, if I'm getting my point across.
You are getting
So-
your point across. Yeah, I get exactly what you mean, and in the cases where people feel that way, then that probably will, that may well happen. Yeah, but and also, you know, even once Lucy Letby is exonerated, because, well, I believe I'm saying it like that because I totally believe she will be.
Yeah, she's got to be.
There still will be people, for whatever reason, psychological, or they just don't want to change their mind or whatever. I mean, do you think someone like Deb Roberts, whoever she is ever going to kind of say, I was wrong or whatever, or the lady with Cindy the dog, or
No, they can't, because there's obviously no reasoning with these people using logic, because all the logic's already out there. You know.
Yes. They really went to town on attacking the this new paper, and they were trying to diss the magazine that it was in, and then somebody, I can't remember who said on Twitter, actually this magazine is from they were saying, oh, it's just a tin pot magazine, and they said, no, it's actually it's related to a publishing organization which is one of the biggest 5 in the world. You know, it's from a massively backed publishing organization. So they don't like it. They don't want it.
And notice, of course, the BBC failed to cover that little bit of information about the study being peer reviewed and things. You know, the BBC will only ever cover anything sort of pro guilt at the moment. They're still going down that route.
It's odd, isn't it? I wonder what's driving them. Are they? Is it just? It's not just happenstance. It seems like a policy, doesn't it? That they don't want to. Although going back a long time now, there was a program on Radio 4, File on 4.
Oh yeah, no, and they did, and I think they were the ones who found out about the BBC, not, you know, the X-ray being taken when she weren't even on shift. Weren't they the first people to even find that?
I think so, or if they weren't the first to find it, they certainly were
put it out there anyway. That's what, you know, that's where we heard it from.
And that was when did that happen? Now that must be over 18 months ago, or well over a year.
It must be. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Astrid said, I need to catch up with her. I'd like the interview that this is Amanda did with Andrew Gold from the podcast. Yeah,
that's the one. She spoke for over an hour, and, you know, really controlled the conversation well and got across, you know, every point that I think she wanted to make.
That's good. And he's a sympathetic interviewer, in the terms he wants people to. He's not trying to control it in the same way as I can't remember the name of that journalist on Good Morning Britain. There's 2 of them, Ed Balls, and there's the lady one. Anyway, whoever they are.
Yeah, I can't remember.
And they've got a very small segment to do as well, so they're trying to get in all their prepared questions, or trying to derail her. Really, I thought they were a bit, but she held the ground well. Astrid says, I think she's actually really brave to speak out. Yeah, I agree, Astrid. Well, it would be so much easier for her to disappear into the ether. Yeah. No, I understand what you mean. Tim says, agreed, Amanda was brilliant. So that's really good. Have you had any other... I'll just read this first. Matt Warrington, hi Matt, says, it's not the slightest bit controversial. My voice is going. Trying to get an advocate for Lucy Letby's innocence on a channel discussing her innocence. To get on a channel discussing. So which channel is that? Sorry, Jimmy. I mean the thing that Andrew Gold does. He does what's the series called again?
Heretics.
So yeah, it's kind of on the tin, isn't it? It's like people that are kicking against usually state or organisational power, really.
Well, I don't know. You had Liz Truss on the other day and Kemi Badenoch, so it's not really that out there.
Well, Liz Truss she seems to be doing loads of interviews. I kind of enjoy them, but she's an interesting person. I don't think she's saying everything she knows about a couple of weeks in that job, but that's another thing. But thanks for that, Matt. That's me saying good night to Andy. Oh no! Before we go on to the next comment, so are you coming up with any other thoughts about things, Mervyn, or is just sort of, this thing about the insulin that's been very strong this week gone, hasn't it? Quite a lot of talk about that on Twitter.
Yeah. Did you see Stuart Gillam's video this morning about the testimony that the insulin expert
Anna Milan
gave?
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
did.
Did you see that? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really brilliant again, and very concise and very tightly done.
So yeah, and he was asking the question: was she just ill-informed, or did she, commit perjury? And I'd like to think she was just ill-informed. But if someone asks you a direct question of you didn't have any issues with quality back in 2015, her answer was clearly no, not I don't know, I'm not sure, let me check. Her answer was no.
Her answer was no, and if I remember rightly, there was a bit in the transcript where she jumps it, and she says no, and then he checks what you mean for the whole of this period, 2015, doesn't it? And then she says, yeah, no. But I mean, so when is she being asked this? She's being asked this at the trial in 2022, 2023. Is it possible that she's just not informed about that? She hasn't bothered to check?
If you don't know, you would say I would have to check, or
yes, absolutely.
But I know I don't. A lot of people who like to speak confidently, and maybe it's possible she was thinking if there were, I would be aware of it or something, but I don't know.
It's either way, it's incorrect, as is her statement about the further processes being absolutely determined. It's going to be exogenous insulin.
Yeah, whether or not she meant to be incorrect, that's a good point. It doesn't actually matter whether or not she meant to be correct or not. If she was incorrect, the jury's been misinformed, haven't they?
Absolutely.
Whether it was intentional or not.
100%. So yeah, so I fail to see sometimes why all this isn't effectively new evidence, all of it. So just that random test being 800% out, the jury weren't aware of that. They were led down the path by Anna Milan saying these machines are spot on, and they're not. That I don't see why that doesn't constitute new evidence.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was a brilliant video from Stewart. Amanda Knox is the right type of controversy in this instance. Yeah, because yes, because she's been there, hasn't she? She's been there in terms of being. Well, I certainly think that totally falsely accused, and but I know there's a range of views, but that's what I feel. But personally, but everyone's got the right to their viewpoint, obviously. Astrid says that. I sing Night Joe. The fact that Amanda's been through so much shit as well was brilliant. Yeah, that's right, Tim. You can't please everyone, Merv. No, you can't please. Remember that. You can't please everyone, Mervyn. Yeah. No, we can't. There's no point in trying.
I like that saying that says also you can fool some of the people some of the time, all of the people some of the time. But I like saying it and getting it wrong at the
end. Well, you could apply that to Dewey Evans, isn't it? Because he's fooled some of the people all of the time. I'm not going to get it wrong, I bet. He's fooled all of the people. No, he's never fooled. Has he fooled all of the people ever?
Well, he's ended up fooling none of the people, none of the time. I
Yeah,
don't.
which is an achievement in itself. So he's gone from. He's quiet lately, though, isn't he? Not hearing much from old Dewey. He's got the message, hasn't he? I'd love to see Amanda take on Dewey and confuse his little mind. It would be like Cruel and Unusual Punishment, wouldn't it? He'd like be. He's used to softball stuff like from Liz and Caroline. So.
Well, I think Dewey Evans would just like try and sort of bamboozle her with medical jargon, because she's not medically trained, and do things that way.
And if all else fails, it's like everyone else got their facts wrong. Never get your facts wrong, and that's his coup de grace, really. Or like, just you look, Amanda, you just got to get it through your head.
Get that. And so many guilters say stuff like that. You're just going to have to accept this. Get it through your head. As soon as you hear that, it's like, well, you've got nothing else then. Why do I have to take it on board? Why do I have to get it through my head? You're trying to hypnotize me.
It's not going to work, is it? It's not going to work on us. And I mean, I don't engage directly with the ones on the Twitter, but I see the responses to them, and
I sort of like arguing with them, because I'm just, like I say, I'm sort of intrigued, but you are dancing with the devil, and I don't really get any trolls coming on my YouTube comments or anything, so I don't know. I'm missing out. I keep asking them. I keep inviting them on because I want to have a chat with one of them. I keep inviting them onto the show, and none of them want to come on. They would just rather make stupid comments all the time. There's this one guy called Jim, and he on everyone he writes like, she confessed, let me confessed, and he just does it constantly. And if anyone's ever wondering who likes his comment, it's me.
Yeah, but you were talking about. I noticed you did a tweet about a lady called Wendy Bracknell or something.
She's the worst. Like, she blocked me straight away when I. This is the thing. When people block you because they don't like when you say facts, and they don't like the facts that you're stating, you can literally copy paste a transcript or something to them and go, "That's it. No, that's it. You're blocked."
That's it. You're blocked. Yeah,
you copy pasted the wrong transcript. No, that's it.
You got your facts wrong.
And
so John Bayliss says, yeah, I agree with you both. Amanda Knox spoke brilliantly on the breakfast program. They threw some difficult questions. She spoke clearly, concisely, without hesitation in support. Yes, she did, in support of Lucy. Night, Liz. Have a good night there. Take care, and thanks for coming on there. Nice to see you. Tim says, how long has the file been at the CCRC now? So it was was it March or April that it went in? So it's been over a year now, hasn't it?
Yeah, but they have kept adding to it and things. So
they've kept adding to it incrementally, Tim, throughout the period.
I think it was good of the CCRC to give us like that update, even though it was a little bit of a side swipe saying, this is why we're late, because this and this happened. But at least it shows that's what stuff's going on, and any delay there is potentially just strengthening the case, strengthening the appeal. The longer the delay, in a way.
Yes, I think that's right. Obviously, we don't want it, and Lucy and her family doesn't want it to go on ad infinitum. But it is the pressure it's not fading away, it's not dribbling away, and there are more refined arguments being made. There are new things coming out all the time, essentially, and there are people that are just digging all the time. So I think there'll be more coming out. I'm not sure what it will be, but so House of Dragon says Susanna Reid, thank you, that's who it was, kept saying that there was a trial and she was found guilty. So that's the bog standard troll type of statement, isn't it? Oh, there was. Did you? Oh, I didn't know that. Was there a trial? I didn't know that. Bit stupid, really, because every miscarriage of justice starts with a trial, absolutely, and a guilty verdict. Indeed it does.
Yes. Anytime someone says that, I'll just sort of defer to the postmaster scandal. How many of them were found guilty?
Yeah, and there's so many other ones as well, isn't there? It's such a lazy non-argument. Absolutely. Tim says, long day today, people. Going to sleep now. Good night. Night, Tim. Good to see you, and loving your videos on the Consortium Misfits and everything. Have a good sleep there. Tim Kent now says, new evidence is not the only criterion for an appeal. Yeah, there's this thing about, what's this phrase now about the thing? Oh, I'm forgetting things, but it's the kind of a holistic phrase about it being there's being a generalized doubt about the conviction, isn't there? Does that ring a bell for you, Mervyn?
I remember someone. I remember something was dug up that said, yeah, it wasn't necessarily new evidence needed as well. I can't remember what it was, but it's on Clouchy's. I think Clouchy retweeted it.
Yes.
It might have. I'll tell you what. It was Tom Evans who found it, I think.
Oh, Tom Evans.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I'll, if you have a look on.
On his thing, because it was a phrase, something like. It was to do with like the general unsafety of the conviction, as opposed to.
Yeah, I'm no good on law, so I'm not sure.
I say night, Liz. Is there any others? I think I've got to. Well, I've actually done all the posts.
And, yeah, so the going back to that staircase one with oh god, that the idea of an owl coming along and scratching, it was like it's just so ridiculous and out there.
Well, apparently they did do. You saw the Netflix, did you? The Netflix.
I did, yeah.
There have been owl attacks in that area.
as he pushed a few more people downstairs in that area, then and blamed it on owls.
Someone I was very close to quite a long time ago, who had a previous boyfriend, and they were cycling along a wood one day, and they were attacked by an owl, and they'd had quite bad lacerations on their scalp and face, but they weren't near any stairs or anything. But
well, the other thing was that basically he was having he was actually having a homosexual affair, and they found that on his computer, and what police were guessing is that his wife found out. But he said what threw it for me was when he said, oh no, his wife knew about that and she was fine with it. I mean, come on.
I know, and there were money issues. There were money issues as well, weren't they? They were living at
I can't remember about money issues, but that was just
that thing in itself stretches credulity, doesn't it? I don't think I'd be happy with that if I was, on either side. I don't think, because one of the guys that he'd seen came forward. One of the what would you call them, like a male escort. He was kind of a big, kind of muscular guy, as I remember, kind of ex.
Tell us all about him, Mark.
I know, that's my favourite bit. No, he was. I'm going to cut it.
You're about to clip this out of context.
I'm going to clip. I'm going to take in post production. That's going. So no, there's some weird stuff like that when you begin to dig into a lot of these cases. People are living kind of double lives, aren't they? Often, and as I said a bit earlier, comparing Lucy's life was so well. It was the life of a young woman in her mid-20s, working very hard, having fun, going on holidays when she could, doing salsa dances, and she's being interrupted in her salsa class, being asked how to do different procedures, which is just crazy, really. But Tim said the primary test for an appeal is whether the conviction is unsafe, and then I suppose it's certainly, it should have reached that. It's so far past that. It's would you say so, Mervyn? It's pretty unsafe.
I just can't, honestly, I can't think of a way that anyone's more innocent. Like, who would you find not guilty if not Letby? How can there be any more evidence of innocence, or how can there be, well, that's the thing, you can't prove a negative, so I'll have to say, how can you have any less evidence of guilt, if that makes sense?
Well, indeed, and the idea of being guilty of something that, well, even the idea of being innocent or guilty of something that didn't happen is a kind of a tautology. It's
you can't prove a negative, and so I'm just.
Once Evans is. I mean, what's been happening this week, just gone, is especially on Twitter, is people saying, well, once this is conclusive demolishing of the fake certainty of the smoking gun cases, then everything else was being pulled along by them anyway, and then you just got Evans's crackpot theories, which have been.
Yeah, well, I always said this right from the start, that this is the interesting thing about back when I was sort of listening to the case without seeing what other people were saying, is when I heard what the judge's statements about, you don't have to be sure about the method, and if you think she's guilty of harming one, then you can assume she's guilty of harming the others. I'm paraphrasing. Like, when I first heard that, it just didn't sound right to me at all, and I hadn't seen anything on social. I hadn't seen anyone else talk about that. That was when I first read that on BBC News. I thought, that's not right. That is not right. That is not right.
No, it's not. It's not right, because, I mean, what that does essentially is you needn't have proven anything about any of the other so-called methods of murder whatsoever. That you needn't have done anything, but as long as you believe in the Insulin ones, which weren't murders, then you can just say all the other ones were murders through these other mechanisms.
Yeah, it just throws everything out the window. Like you say, what's the point? What's the point in going around getting all this evidence? What's the point in that 10-month trial if you're going to just say that at the end?
Well, absolutely, it's a charade. I think Tim's making the point here about the common grounds called error of. Are you back? My screen went black then for some reason. Tim says most of Chris's 25 points that he did about the judge, you're saying they constitute errors of law in the trial. I don't. This is the thing, the creepy, weird thing with the legal world is that they'd probably find some way to justify it and everything he did somehow. Do you think? Do we think that?
In a way, I'm kind of pleased with the railroading that was sort of shown in the court, because I don't like to see guilty people get off. I want justice to be served. So I want that harsh treatment for people who are guilty, and I don't want them to be able to um, get off lightly, or be found not guilty when they are. So in a way, I'm kind of pleased with the railroading that goes on, but it's obviously it's just gone too far, hasn't it? If you're able to do it to an innocent person, it's just past the threshold.
Well, we've had hundreds of years, or however many hundreds of years of building up of English law and precedent, and they should have certain minimum standards that they're meant to abide by. And like you're saying, it's just gone way too far in one direction. That they seem to. I've been watching American trials. I've been fascinating with these ones.
Yeah, because you can watch them.
Yeah, you can, because you can watch them. And there's this one about the Adelson family in America, in which the son-in-law was, some hitmen were hired to murder him after the divorce from the daughter. And one by one, the whole family is being brought to trial and being given lifetime sentences, as well as the actual hitmen and the in-between person, the middle, who happened to be a woman. But what you're seeing there is the defence have got so many more opportunities to do what they call a sidebar with the judge. They just stop it, and then the judge has to thrash it out between the prosecution and the defence. It's like another world, I just can't imagine what we hear and what we understand happened in the Lucy Letby trial happening in an American court. I'm not saying this is perfect, like Mark McDonald says it's not perfect, but it's a real. They've got there's more provisions there to object to the behaviour of questions, or the types of questions that are asked, or the behaviour of prosecutors. I really recommend that once you get into the Adelson trial stuff. It's been going years.
Okay.
And there's more to come. They're going after the ex-wife now. That'll be the next trial to come up, I think.
Well, coming back to Britain, do you remember those Manchester airport attacks where they got them on CCTV, like punching the police officers? Well, wasn't one of them found like no verdict or something? And I'm like,
I didn't follow. I don't know what happened in the end there with them. Did they?
Well, I think they were due to have a retrial or something. But this is what I don't get. I'm like, you've got it on CCTV. How can you not reach a verdict on that, plain as day, yet unanimous against Letby?
I know. I
just don't get it.
I know with those two guys, and I don't know which one of them it was, but before the melee that happened with the police and the attack on them, the punching of the female police officer, one of them had assaulted a guy in a restaurant. And that's why they'd turned up, actually, about that, in a queue, because they said the mum had been insulted on the plane or something by this guy. Tim says misdirection. This is to do with it. The judge gave the jury incorrect facts in the summing.
He did. He absolutely did.
Yeah, the summing up parroted false statements. Thanks, Tim. So, and Mervyn agrees with that. And hi, Sonia. Good to see you. Hi, Lynn. Did I put Lynn's statement? No, I haven't. Sorry. Lynn says, hi, Mark. I've been watching Channel 5 on Wrongful admission for. Sorry, I've missed your live. Wrongful admission, is that confessions or things like that. Is that what that is, Lynn? Like, that could be. So much of the news is just theatre. Well, yeah, I tend to agree with that. We've got this other trial going on now with these 3 Ukrainian young
Oh
lads.
yeah, the Rent Boys or whatever.
And there's a
Keir Starmer's.
well, the judge is giving a statement out. I'm not sure who to. Is it to the jury? He's saying we don't need to know about what their motives were or what connects all these crimes, something of that sort. That was reported on the George Galloway show by a guy called Crispin. I can't remember his second name now. Anyway, something. He's there. He's rocking up there every day, and he's saying there's some very odd statements from the judge there to distance the idea that these arsons of the properties and the cars don't have any connection with Keir Starmer, even though it was his former car and former properties.
All I want to say about that is when I first heard about Keir Starmer and someone mentioned his wife, my reaction was, wife?
Oh, right, yeah, because indeed that there is, people do feel that it's not. Well, I suppose you could be in a relationship, and I don't know what arrangements people have. And I just want to go back on the thing I'd said before. I just want to make it clear that I'm not into like bodybuilding male escorts at all, or any male escorts at all. I don't know why I brought that up about that. Oh,
isn't that how we met, Mark?
Well, it is really. But, I was hoping to leave that to the end. that's how we met. But which one of us was the escort?
Oh well.
We'll leave that to the audience to judge. Yeah, because you might have been gay. No, I'll stop there because it's all going to go horribly wrong.
And you haven't even started drinking yet.
I haven't even started drinking yet. I haven't got any. I went shopping to Tesco's about 8:30, and I was going to get some sherry, and I'm glad I didn't now because it would have been all messy already. So, but it's actually gone worse now because anyway. I'll leave it there. Tim says we do not want every case to be routinely reheard in the appeal court at taxpayer expense.
Yeah.
However, when the conviction was clearly unfair, an appeal should be heard. Yeah, very fair point. Well made. Lynn says, "Hi Mark, I've been watching Wrongful Admissions on Channel 5. Oh, I read that out, didn't I?
I read that one already.
Wrongful Admissions.
I haven't seen that.
I don't know that one, but if you can tell us more about that, then. The judge is absolutely condemned. Yeah, I don't like Goss, but he's got a new job as well there, and he's inspecting constabularies or something like that. Hi Lynn, I think it might be wrongful conviction. Sorry, yeah, thank you. That's interesting. Yeah.
On the Amanda Knox podcast, something that I knew that I learned was about most of the wrongful convictions against women were for crimes that never happened. I didn't know that before then.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of them will be, and if we began to, I know it's a kind of unknown known, but this thing that came up with the interview with like Dr. Wayne Squire and Chris is that, and they sort of suggested, well, how many of these shaken baby syndrome cases are there across the world in which a mother or a father or both are convicted, and then we don't know how many there are. There could be many hundreds.
Well, I did watch that with Chris, and I don't know if I missed it or not, but I don't think they seemed to mention the fact that Dewey Evans was actually involved in a shaken baby syndrome case.
No, I don't think they did they? I don't think they did, no.
Maybe they'll mention it on a second interview or something.
Yeah,
but
no, they couldn't.
And I was, of all the things that you could sort of guess that he would be involved in. I bet on his CV, Dewey Evans' CV, I'm sort of expecting to see Seal Clubber on there as well.
Seal Club.
Seal Clubber.
Oh,
so, I'm sure it's there on the bottom, back in the 90s or whatever.
Well, you like those guys that go around clubbing the poor seals?
Yeah.
Well,
there's got to be.
The presentation he gives out on LinkedIn is of someone who is very understanding and is making all the right noises and all to do with all social issues and accusing people of racism and things like that. So he's kind of presenting himself as quite a right-on guy on LinkedIn. Anyway, he didn't mention the Seal Club in there, but it's the kind of thing. It's the kind of thing he's probably.
I'm sure it's there somewhere.
It's there somewhere, but we just got to find it. Hi, Jenny. Jenny's here as well. I'll put the link in if you want to come on, Jenny, or anyone else wants to come on as well. Jenny, have you missed anything? Well, we were talking earlier on.
We were talking about you, Jenny.
Yeah, we were talking about you, Jenny, and in all good ways. And we're talking about the videos that you and Black Squareable, and also what Tony had been talking about. Simone was here earlier on about these previous incumbents of the Countess of Chester, not the chief executive, but the board, the executive board, Sharples and all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting, really interesting stuff that you're coming up with there and digging into.
Well, I kind of would like to know about a little bit more information about what the financial relationship was with having so many babies, having X amount of babies on the ward, and if the consultants got some sort of bonus per baby. I'd be interested to know, because what we did learn from the Thirlwell inquiry was that Brewery had been accepting these triplets when he shouldn't have, and I'm kind of I'd be interested to know what was the financial motive for that. Obviously, I know that the hospital itself would be receiving more money for the more babies they would take, but I would slightly be interested to know if any sort of there was any sort of incentive towards the consultants.
Well, this is where it comes into, I think, if Jenny wants to talk about this, and in the comments or on the screen about the specialisms that Brewery is into. And immunology being one of them, apparently, and things of this nature. I mean, in terms of the intake of babies and their acuity, the thing that I've been wanting to find out and have been frustrated on it is really what is the totality of the effect on the network of the closures of the North Wales hospitals. And there's elements that are found out before they've basically stopped me asking any more questions of that North Wales Health Board called Betsy Cadwallader. But it's possible that basically some of those babies there, because there's no other spaces in the network to go, and they're all kind of jammed up. So like Arrow Park's full up, LWH is full up because they've got this extra influx that they're not able to handle, and they're not saying no, and they're not saying no to it. So it's pushing pressure down from the level 3s onto COCH. And we know there's up to 5 level 3 care needing babies have come from Glan Clwyd through to Countess of Chester during the indictment period. They've acknowledged that. Mm-hmm. So I send that information to Mark McDonald, as well as the extra births that are going on. There's another 20% of births going on as well.
Going back to insulin again, and I'm surprised I haven't heard more about this. But okay, so this this new study says that these insulin results are, quite fairly almost common in babies. But what I haven't seen anyone publish is, maybe someone has, is just how common it was happening, not just at Countess of Chester, but other hospitals. I would have thought that would just have been one of the very first things that people would mention. So, by the way, going back to the fact that the doctor first dismissed the result, or two doctors even first dismissed the results. The reason you would be dismissing it is surely because you've sort of seen that before and it's an error or something. And I would be interested to see how often these strange insulin results have happened. I mean, have they happened since? Surely they have. How often do they come out? And I haven't seen anyone sort of publish this information.
I haven't either, and I don't know whether it's been looked for. You could prospectively look for that across all the hospitals in the country, and you could get if they play ball with you, and not just the hospitals, of course, but also the labs as well. But if they're straight up with you, that information's out there somewhere. If they'll respond. I think it's. I don't know if anyone has started down the line of that.
I mean, I've heard anecdotally doctors say, "Oh, this happens all the time," but I've just not seen any statistics come out.
Well, I've got up Sarah Napton's, just in case people haven't seen it. I'm just going to put Sarah Napton's article, which is an archived, so you don't have to go through it gets you behind the paywall. I'll put that up in the chat there. That's the one she put out on, I can't see the date of it. It was just yesterday or the other day. What are they saying here to do with statistics? I did read it, but I can't. It's this 40% figure, isn't it?
Yeah, or I've read something maybe like 18 or something.
Well, it says here, studies have shown that between 3 and 97% of preterm infants are born with antibodies that bind to insulin. Between 3 and 97%. So that's a weird. That's a strange kind of range to say. Is it like it's a range of almost none to almost all? That's weird, isn't it? Jenny's saying, "How's Eric? Eric is my gerbil who's aggrieved that Jenny compared certain miscreants to having the mental acuity of gerbils. So Eric the gerbil is going to sue Jenny for everything she's got. So, but I'm trying to calm things down there. Anyway, so yeah, between 3 and 97% is weird, isn't it? What's that telling us? I don't know. And it's even, and the other factor is it's even more likely you're going to presumably get to the top end of that range if there's infections.
Which certainly was, and some
antibiotics. And this is another area that Jenny goes into about the antibiotics.
So then we've got two issues. So either you're saying the test is wrong, or for this study you're saying actually the test wasn't wrong, but the results are normal. So which is it? I mean, it could be both, but it could be either. It could be both. Maybe it doesn't matter.
It could, so there's potentially So either those insulins were being binded, whatever the actual procedure is in the body, the mechanism, and it was somewhere near right, and then there's something wrong with the machines, and also
it could be both. It could be both,
and it's infection, and it's antibiotics, and it's also this thing that Dr. Shuley talked about this thing of giving the boluses rather than a steady infusion and upping that. So you're making the system go up and down rapidly. That's what you described, isn't it? In terms of the, I think that was a call for Mervyn's escort service, which is more important to his business. So I won't interrupt that anymore. So, hi, Jay Baxter, and a question for Mervyn: are miscarriages of justice involving men usually down to misidentified perps? Then that's a good question. I know some of them are, aren't they? Certainly, Andrew Malkinson was. Andrew Malkinson, that the victim actually said that she didn't believe it was him, but that the police persuaded her and said, well, no, it is him because of the this and that and the other. And there's the poor young man up in Scotland. I think that's a misidentification of a witness who said that she saw him at the end of this long track before the wooded sort of lane. I can't remember his name now. What's his name? The murder in Scotland. What's that called? Can anybody remind me of that one? I can't find it now. It's the one where he was 15, just about to be 16, and I think he's very likely to be innocent. I'm pretty sure he is. Oh yeah, Mervyn's back in the room. There's a question for you there, Mervyn. I don't know if you can see it on the screen about men and miscarriages of justice.
Misidentified perhaps then. Yeah, I think that's what they were saying, yeah.
Yeah, and I mentioned when you were on the call, getting another escort job there, just there.
Yeah.
You've got to go in a minute. You've got to get in the right clothing and everything. But I've thrown myself by saying that. So yeah, the case of Andrew Malkinson was one such. It's a misidentification. And the victim said that she wasn't sure herself, but the police, quote unquote, persuaded her. That's what I read. They got a ton more money for babies under 32 weeks, Jenny says.
Yeah, but I was what I was wondering is if the consultants had in any way sort of got some sort of financial incentives themselves. Well, I guess. I mean, the same in any work environment. If you're the lead of a unit and your unit it's in your interest for your unit to make money, isn't it? So, regardless of whether or not you personally get a cut of it, you still, I still in my job still strive to get the most for the company, and so maybe they're doing the same for the NHS. But then again, why would, if you're a doctor, your care isn't for money, it's for the patient. So there must be some kind of financial incentive.
Yeah, and it kind of clashes with this idea that they must have known or should have known that they weren't meeting the BAPM minimum guidelines for clinical oversight. They must have known that. So they're welcoming these, if that is the case, rather than being pushed on them. They're engaging with these high acuity babies in a situation that they're already not meeting the minimum standards of care per se. So I read a tweet of yours a bit earlier as well, to do with the level 1 thing. I think it was on Twitter. I think it was your tweet that there's still a level 1,
Yeah.
And why is that the case, and that sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, if you've removed a serial killer, shouldn't the hospital be safer now?
Well, yeah. That's the point.
It's-
That's the point you were making,
yeah,
and it's all. They've also got, I believe, a neonatologist there now, and they're doing ward rounds. In actual fact, it's probably the safest level 1 unit you could possibly imagine. But well, or is it? I don't know, but I'm assuming it is better than it ever was.
well,
There's
no,
a,
because it didn't still come at the bottom of the league tables than um,
the
the
hot was
last
that
publishing of the league tables. It was like second from the bottom, wasn't it? Countess of Chester.
for the hospital as a whole. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know whether it just in these basic metrics of having enough staff. It's like
yeah.
they've hired a lot more staff. It there's a lot more staff, it would seem, cover for a level 1 unit than they had when they were a level 2. That's what it sounds like.
Mm.
But that's what they've done, and then it's weird though. The whole thing's very, very weird. All of it. The babies that are preemies are higher research guinea pig specimens. That's the other thing, because I know Jenny's been talking about that in terms of research potentials, and so part of the thing that someone like Brewery wants to do is to get into different areas of research. Maybe Jyaram not so much, because he's more of a showbiz kind of guy. I don't think he was that fussed about becoming. His thing was to be a media doctor, I think, if anything, wasn't it? But Brewery really wants to, and maybe he's still doing that. I don't know what he's doing. Jay Baxter says that would make sense. That's to do with the males being misidentified, I think, and it would make female victims of MOJs being convicted for crimes that didn't happen quite striking. Yeah, it would. It would do. And so many of them are to do with in relation to babies and children.
Well, yeah, that's what they were saying in Amanda Knox podcast. It's a lot of it centered around caregivers. Was the general thing. So not just nurses, but anyone caring for someone else. So mother caring for a child. So a lot of the time it's I think a lot of the time it's potential child abuse when just when a mother brings their child to a hospital and they don't know how the child sustained the injury, or they don't know what it is. Therefore they'll go to abuse just because they can't think of anything else.
Absolutely. I don't know the any reported statistics, but I would assume people who have been designated as having Munchausen's by proxy, I don't think they use a different term now. It's repute. I think it would be overwhelmingly women have been.
Yeah, because women are the primary caregivers in probably for all ages. Obviously for children and nursing and everything. Yeah,
I mean they are, but it's funny with not funny, but it's strange with the nurse cases, as it were, in this country, because we've got there's 3 men. Three men in prison that quite likely or quite possibly, I don't know much about the individual case.
Well, I actually was looking up the Victorino Chua case and the insulin poisonings, and I actually, for sure, someone had poisoned the patients, whether or not it was Victorino, but somebody had, because there was, in that case, they had found needle pierce marks in all of the stuff in the medicine cabinet, and then they tested things in the medicine cabinet where it looked like they had been pierced with a needle, and they did find insulin in them. So sort of equivalent to the Letby case of them having the bags and actually testing the bags and finding that they were poisoned or whatever. But in this case, they were able to, they found the puncture marks. So someone actually did poison something in the Victorino Chua case. I think it was Victorino Chua. I hope I'm not getting the wrong case.
Did they, I mean, I don't know it very well, but did they exclude the potential for it just being accidental in the sense that somebody else was due to have this injection, and did they exclude that?
No, there was more than one. There was more than one thing found with insulin, in this medicine cabinet. That there was, they tested loads of them, and there was quite a few. I mean, I'll be honest. Reading, to me, it did come across as guilty to me, but I am quite guilt centric. I'm a guilter at heart.
You're a guilter at heart. I'm just looking at an article about it, and so the two victims, one was a lady called Tracy Arden, who was 44, and then there was a gentleman called Derek Weaver, who was 83. So there's quite a range of ages. But before he was charged, they were trying to get
a nurse. That's right. Yeah.
What was her name again? Because I remember, because it really ruined her life as well.
Rebecca or something. I'm not sure.
Rebecca Layton, is it? Is it Layton? I think
maybe.
So I'm going to look that up, because it just shows that it could have been Rebecca. I think it's Rebecca Layton.
Yeah, but what I'm saying in this case is that I think a crime actually did occur. So yeah, they might have got. Yes, it's possible they could have got the wrong person in that case.
Yes, which is a different. Yes, it's a lady called Rebecca Layton, and she's. I don't know if she's a nurse anymore. I'd be. Oh, is that the right one? Oh yes, yeah, Rebecca Layton. She spent 6 weeks in prison in 2011 after being wrongly charged in connection with the deaths of 5 patients. So how many? See, that's how scattergun it is. So how many?
Well, I think there were. I mean, there were. This insulin effect was happening. It just kept happening. Like it did seem pretty clear cut to me. These people kept having the same symptoms of low blood sugar when they actually came in for stuff completely unrelated.
In the story here, it's looking like, so she's brought in and being found suspicious for the deaths of 5 patients, but the person who they eventually get, whether he's done it or not, is only found only. I don't mean to diminish it, but he's found guilty of the deaths of 2 people. So, what were those other 3 cases about?
They might have survived. I'm not sure.
Well, in the thing here, she was 20. She was 27 years old. So she was only like a couple of years older than Lucy Letby. Yeah, so she was wrongly charged in connection with the deaths of 5 patients. So what we've obviously got there is that at least 3 of those deaths didn't end up as convictions, or maybe were dropped as charges for Victorino children.
Well, the bit that's stuck for me in my memory wasn't about the patients. It was about the fact that they actually found these holes in the tops of in the medicine cabinet with actual insulin having been stuck into things that medication that shouldn't have insulin, and they actually found piercings in the top of these bottles. where someone had injected insulin into these bottles and things. So, I mean, that to me, it's like, you can't do that by accident.
I think they should have an insulin cupboard, and I know they're meant to do it in pairs, aren't they, nurses, when they take out certain drugs and they double check that they're doing it. I think you shouldn't be able to go individually to an insulin cupboard and get in there and start doing what you want. I'm not saying I don't think anybody should have the potential to do it. So that would obviate or stop any potential for that ever to happen if you made it a 2-person job. But maybe on the ground that's not practical. I don't know.
I don't know. You'd have to get a nurse on to talk about that. It's outside my field. Sorry.
Well, why don't you know? No.
But that's the thing. When I don't know, at least I'll say I don't know. Unlike that insulin expert Anna, who just says no, who just gives the answer no.
No, computer says no. Well, this is a good the canonical ensemble. Welcome to the live. I don't think we've met, but I hope you're doing well. They had a sample of 302 babies in Chase's letter. 13% of those were above baby L. Oh, Jeff Chase. Sorry, yeah.
Okay, but baby L was. Sorry,
that's the lower amount. It's a busy night for the escort service tonight. For old Mervyn there. I'd knock that on the head, that running thing now. So, God, just imagine being in an escort. I don't like leaving the house. I'm sort of agoraphobic, so I wouldn't be able to be an escort, as well as more obvious reasons, So thank you for that canonical example. Yeah, so I think Mervyn was going on to say that the baby L, that wasn't the highest one, that was a lower, still high, but it wasn't the 4,000 figure. It was the, 1,700 or something like that. But still, it's really important. Thanks for that percentage there. That really helps. Jenny says Breary was the main author on a baby with hyperinsulinism. That was in COCH during the indictment period. He's such a bastard. God. Yeah, this whole weird thing with Breary story coming out, like he found it in 2018, but he'd already been told about it by Dr. Z.A. in 2017. So that's another weird thing. Why do you get these weird conundrums? Which one is it? I don't know if Mervyn's back. Is Mervyn back?
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. It's got to be done. you got to do the. But yeah, Jenny's saying about Breary was an author on a paper. I think it must be a main author to do with a baby with hyperinsulinism. That was in the. That's interesting to find that out. Thank you, Jenny. They show 4 real case examples in Chase's letter. Thank you for that. That's great. That's good. Justice for gerbils. I'm with you there. I stand with the gerbils all the way. Putting my reputation on it, even though Sonia. Yeah, that's funny. That 3 to 97% range is probably a stupid mistake or a typo. Well, it's in the Times. I'm not saying that can't make mistakes. But it's meant to be is it the Times, or is it the Telegraph? The paper of record, the Telegraph. So, but it could be a mistake, yeah. But it's what they say. Yoxall wanted Breary to take triplets and twins to keep up their skills. I don't buy it. This is Lynn. Thank you, Lynn. Yes, they will get more money and prestige, but the end result is that baby's died and Lucy's in prison. Yeah, this thing about the triplets and twins and the twin studies that were going on at LWH at the time. There's so many strands to this.
Yeah, but we'd need to know more information about that, because you can't just do studies on. Surely you'd need the parents' consent to do it. Anything like that, I don't know. I just sort of need more information, don't you?
You do. I think one of the ideas that Sarah Hawkins was talking with Richard Gill about was that they didn't want their stats being ruined in these, because they were like a test hospital at LWH.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. No, I heard that as well. Yeah.
Away, Oh, Henry says Luke Mitchell. Thank you, Henry. Yeah, that's another. I'm sure that's a miscarriage of, and he's poor young man. He's 36 now, and he went to prison when he was just barely 16.
I don't know that one. It doesn't ring a bell.
That was in Scotland. His girlfriend at the time, who was like 15, 16, was murdered, and you got this tunnel vision thing going on. But there was an eyewitness that said they saw him in a certain place at a certain time, but people have done reconstructions of that and said it would have been quite hard to see from that distance who it was. So, but I think once people say things in a trial, they don't want to take it back, because they don't like taking it back, or don't like having any doubt about it. Yeah, Luke Mitchell, thank you. Luke Mitchell, thank you. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I am pleased about someone being charged. They finally charged that the woman driving the Land Rover in the posh private school and killing two girls. In London, it was a posh area in London, and it happened a couple of years ago. A woman lost control of a Land Rover and ran over a couple of kids. So it was a really wealthy, posh school. I think the kids were only like 8 years old.
Oh God!
Or something in a posh part of London.
It does ring a tiny bell. I think. Yeah.
They never charged her originally because, from what I read, she said she had an epileptic fit and passed out or something, even though she'd never had one before. And the police seemingly accepted that, but now they've done like a reinvestigation and finally charged her. But at the end of the day, surely you're still going to get manslaughter for it, even though it may not have been your fault in that kind of sense. But once you're behind the wheel, you're responsible. It's a bit like falling asleep at the wheel. You didn't mean to do it, did you? You didn't mean to fall asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, but you're still responsible.
Nobody has ever said that falling asleep at the wheel is like not your. It's not your fault. It's not unquestionable, isn't it? But it's an unconscious thing. You don't mean to do it.
No, that's right. There was a case I remember some years ago of a guy that had fallen asleep, and they ended up getting all his phone records and everything, computer records.
Yeah, I remember that.
He'd been up all night.
He had been up all night.
Chatting with people.
Chatting with someone. I do remember that.
Yeah, so that came out there, and so I'm getting the sense, Mervyn, of the times we've spoken, and obviously your deep interest in this and involvement, is that are you interested in crime per se, and the justice system and crimes that happen? as a general thing? Have you been for quite a while?
I don't think I am. I'm more into like ghosts and aliens and things.
Right. Yeah.
And
Well,
pyramids.
do you watch the stuff? Do you watch the stuff about Bigfoot and Yetis and like Bigfoot
Yeah, yeah.
like that?
I like a bit of that. Yeah. I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't actually say I am into true crime or anything. I mean, I listen to the odd thing, but no, it's. I mean, I'm just going by what I read about in the papers. That story.
Yes. Yes. But you seem to know quite a few different cases. I suppose quite like the staircase one. That was massive, wasn't it? It became a very
Oh yeah, that one was like during lockdown, I think. So I got. I mean, I was with family members during lockdown and got forced to watch things that wouldn't normally watch.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's yeah. The ghosts thing is interesting. Have you ever seen a ghost? Do you think?
No, but I haven't seen anything or experienced anything paranormal. However, I've spoken to friends who have, and what I am very interested in is people who do say they've seen things. I think they genuinely believe that they've seen things.
Yeah.
If that,
Yeah. I'd
and
say so.
I'm fascinated by it, and I don't think I actually ever will see a ghost. Because I don't think I've got that personality, because I think I'll always try and just explain it away. If I ever see something slide across the room, I'll just think I've got subsidence.
Yeah, yeah, the pragmatic approach. But you can go on these things like these. You can stay overnight in places, can't you? On these kind of ghost experiences, and you can either bring your own, or you're given this kind of equipment to pick things up, like audio stuff and vibrational things. I don't know. Does that? Would you ever do that? Would you ever go to a
Um,
haunted place?
I don't know. I haven't been to any of them. Yeah, maybe I could check it out. I did sort of express an interest in a local ghost hunting thing, but I never actually followed it up due to work commitments and things. But
Yeah, but the whole
I might chase it again. Yeah, I've got a little bit more time now.
well, the thing with aliens that they keep on kind of dangling the idea of some revelation about them, but they're not following through with it, are they?
Again, there's almost not a UFO case that I don't know about, but again, I am still sort of sat on the fence. I'm like, are they seeing to me, a lot of the people that talk about it, especially when they start talking about spiritual things, they seem a little bit, what's the word? Uh, Wooey. I don't. A bit. They're just a little bit out there, especially when they get all spiritual, and and
Mm.
to me, I'm just very scientifically minded, and sometimes when people are telling their stories, I want to throttle the person who's interviewing them, saying like, ask them this question, ask them that question. Why are you letting them carry on just talking in the way they're talking?
Yes, I
In,
suppose. Yeah, it might maybe depends on the podcast that they got an audience in mind and they don't want to go too hard on them or something, or they're kind of or they they've seen stuff as well or believe they have, and there's an affinity there. Maybe that's why. I don't know, but there's that guy that died recently. What's his name? But he was involved a lot to do with Rendlesham Forest, and he used to work for
Nick Pope.
Nick Pope died a
Yeah,
couple of weeks. He was quite young, actually. He's only 60 something.
yeah, he had some sort some sort of cancer he had, and it
Bone
came on
cancer,
quite quickly. Yeah,
possibly a big one.
I was quite sad about that.
Yeah,
I
because
always liked him.
yeah, he was an interesting guy, but I think Well, I don't know why I think this, but I get the sense I think aliens are probably here in some form already. Greys and things like that. I don't know if they are greys, but that's one view of them, isn't it? Do you think they're here?
I think we're getting slightly off topic.
We can be fluid. We can be fluid. None of the consultants were qualified for such tiny, poorly babies. Frankly, they were and are still crap. Yeah, they did seem to let them down in many different ways, didn't they? Over a lot of times, from everything we hear. But is it that the Countess of Chester, are they an outlier in that respect, or is that going on across the country? Are there little groups of consultants that aren't that good, or quite a lot of them that aren't that good, or not as good as they should be, or not as present as they should be? You know, we had the hospital around the same time, the Blackpool one, and there was another one that they had a similar apparent spike.
Sherwood Forest.
Sherwood one, yeah, that's it, Sherwood. Tim, my impression is that Dr. Breary is not an alien. Aspired to be in charge of a level 3 unit, yeah, for his career progression. Yeah, there's that element to it, isn't it? That they might not get the immediate financial benefit, but they've got the long view in mind about their career progression. And that's quite, and maybe he had sights on a very sort of specialist kind of career, or maybe he wanted to move somewhere else. And I don't know about Breary's God, he's out there somewhere. Well, he's still doing the job, isn't he? So I wonder if he feels any guilt at all. Does he think he feels a tiny, tiny guilt, Breary?
No.
Or he's just a different kind of animal altogether than Gibbs. I don't even know what Gibbs is, really. Dr. Gibbs, Father Gibbs. Tim, his career advancement via research, yeah. So that's the view. There's more to this man than meets the eye. Is that Mervyn or Breary? I think it could be either, couldn't it? So we don't know. It could be me. There's no more to me than meets the eye. You've seen all my failings, more or less. Jenny says, Jairam, in my opinion, wanted to make it big for Big Pharma spokesman, and doing, I wasn't doing the right on finger, spokesman, and doing conferences to get paid for Big Pharma. Yeah, that's because that makes sense, doesn't it? Because if he can bring in the media world to his connections as a doctor, that would be a track. A bit like, who's that guy that was around during COVID a lot? He's made a lot of money out of it. Oh, there were a few. Is that guy with silver hair?
Fauci? Or American? Or?
Well, there is Fauci, and they did make a point about Fauci as being one of the highest paid civil servants or versions of government workers in the whole of America. And that's before you even start looking at publishing deals and stuff like that, which a lot of people think publishing deals are payoffs for doing certain jobs for whomsoever, the Illuminati. Jenny, Breary was not up to the job. It's weird, that whole thing, when McBurney's point, not doing what's that machine that he had by him, the ultrasound. Martin Pittman can't believe what happened there. He said he just can't understand it. Why he did all the things he did, why he didn't, and why they didn't give any blood either. He can't believe it. And I think Dr. McConville's the same. Luke was vilified. This is Luke. Luke Mitchell. Luke was vilified in the press. He was, because he was kind of a bit gothy, or was, as a 15, 16-year-old, was playing with that kind of iconography of that kind of music. And I can't remember which bands he was into, but all that stuff. The police locked on and ignored any other leads. They did. His mum and brother were called liars for saying he was at home. They have lost everything they have. And his mum, she ended up living in this, like, kind of a bit of a ramshackle place that she used to have a caravan park, I think, renting out caravans. And then she just lives in this place, and she's getting more and more ill all the time. I'm not sure if she had cancer as well, but she's been fighting for her son for 20 years now. And he's in his mid-30s now, 36.
Could you imagine if and one of Letby's parents are quite elderly. I mean, if one of them passed away before she came out.
Oh, it's horrendous,
How
isn't it? It's horrendous.
how absolutely awful would that be?
Absolutely terrible. I think her father's in his late 70s. Is that right? I thought he was like
I don't know.
78. And her mum is a bit younger, but terrible for both of. And just
Obviously, the added
for Lucy.
the added stress.
The stress of it. I thought it was such a kind of a poignant and thing when they were talking in the press, and it was the first time, and since then the first and last time they'd spoken, and they said, "Oh, it feels like Detective Hughes hates us." They've been so worn down by it, but I'm hoping on the plus side that they've got hope. Well, if Mark McDonald says, and he's meeting Lucy Letby regularly, if he said she's got hope now, then I think it's reasonable to infer that her mum and dad have hope as well, isn't it? Tim Kent says, my impression is that Dr. Breary aspired to be... Oh, sorry, I've read that one. Sorry, thanks for that, Tim. That's really good. I'm re-clicking the same ones. There's more to this than me. I did that one, didn't I? Thank you for that. I did that one. Why am I doing the same ones again? I'm in a loop. Breary was not up to the job. Henry Macaulay says, no, I've done that one as well. I don't understand why. I often think of the poor families in Orkney, their lives destroyed on the back of a child's drawing. So Henry, I think that's the reference. You know what that is, Mervyn?
Not sure.
I think it's in reference to what some people termed as the satanic panic of children being taken away from parents. It was in Orkney and in...
Oh, yeah.
in part of mainland as well.
That's right.
And that was back in the 80s, I think.
Yeah.
And there were two experts there, and one of them was an expert in certain markings and certain dilations of the private parts, as it were. And they had their not pet theory. They had their theory as to this being all true and real, but it was apparently it was based on a panic, a moral panic, and some very bad quote unquote experts again. But there are still people out there that say it was all real, like the Hampstead case. I don't know if people are aware of the Hampstead case, where this couple were basically saying that the parents around this quite posh school in the Hampstead area, which is an expensive area in London, for people who are not listening in England, there was a sort of devil worshipping group there that were killing babies, eating them, all kinds of stuff like that, and it really took hold for a while.
Was that the one where he accused a politician as well, or?
I'm not sure about that one. This is more to do with a group of parents whose babies or children, young children, attended this school, and they were basically saying, this couple were saying that their children had given them had disclosed, is the term they used, disclosed that they'd witnessed all this sort of thing going on, but nobody was ever charged with anything. But it was. I'm just saying that in relation to what Henry's talking about, the Orkney cases that happened a few decades before. So it comes up every now and again. But is it possible that some of them are real? But which ones? And how do we know? I think the fight is to retain our humanity, and the way to do that is very much to retain our sense of humour. Yeah. Sometimes I feel a bit guilty sometimes about. I think, oh God, it's not. But we've got to retain our humour, even in the dark times in our own lives as well, don't we? It gets us through. It looks as though she does have epilepsy, but she was diagnosed before the accident.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, so going back, that's about the Land Rover
yeah.
woman. That, again, it might not be a fault per se, but at the end of the day, you still got to take responsibility.
Yeah.
Even, my sympathies with her and her family, but you can't just kill two kids and carry on with your life. Even I'm sure you can't do that.
I know there was and it's not exactly the same, but there was a case of an American lady, and she was given kind of a temporary immunity to go back to America. What's that thing?
Yeah.
When you're
diplomatic immunity.
Diplomatic immunity.
She was the wife of someone. Yeah, but didn't she have to come back to face it, or something happened with it in the end? Didn't it?
Some kind of agreement in the last year, 18 months, of some level of culpability, I think. But there's obviously been a lot of back and forth with that. But people, the family of somebody was killed. I think it was a young man.
Yeah. So she, I think, was driving on the wrong side of the road or something.
Yeah.
And killed a motorcyclist. Yeah.
And he was he was quite young, wasn't he? He was. So all that stuff goes on, and sorry, Sonia says here, I'm a child of the Empire, but the Empire taught us to do right. The Empire, yeah. Gosh. Well, that's good. That's good. And we just. A lot of this is, well, it's the fundamentals of this is that it's just saying it's unfair seems like it's like an understatement, but all this is unfair to the nth degree, isn't it? Everything, the whole way that Lucy's been treated now for coming up to 11 years. So 11 years.
No.
If you're diagnosed with epilepsy, you can't drive for a certain period of time. If diagnosed prior to the accident, then she is at fault, right? So she
well, do you know what I was thinking of earlier when I was having a walk in the park, and there was a lot of like war memorial things, and it was from back in Napoleonic times, and for some reason I was thinking about the provosts. So the provosts were these. Their position was to basically go to do all the discipline and everything, but also when troops had deserted, their job was to round up, go and find these deserted troops,
right,
and they would be hung. They would hang. Because they used to hang them for desertion back then. Yeah. And it sort of got me thinking, like, okay, they've left, and the humane thing to do is, if you catch them, give them a good talking to or whatever. But then on the other hand, you being the provost, you have to hang them. you know, otherwise everyone else is going to do it. And so it's sort of got me thinking that you've got to face up to these responsibilities. You know, those systems are in place, and the reason I'm mentioning it is, again, with the whole manslaughter and killing a child kind of thing. You know, it doesn't seem right, but you've got to hang in a way. Not literally. I don't think they should literally hang her, but
no.
Basically, sometimes things seem cruel, but you know, it's just got to be done.
It's good that we don't have. I mean, I don't know what you feel about the hanging thing. I think it's good that we don't have it anymore because, well, let's say it was on the statute books that as a punishment now, would we emulate the American system in which people could be on death row for like 15, 20 years? Would it be like that? Or, I mean, I wouldn't vote. I don't vote anywhere anymore, but I wouldn't vote for it, for a capital punishment.
I actually am for capital punishment myself.
What level of definitive proof would you need to see so you wouldn't have any doubt? Because there's no way back, is there? There's no way back from it, you know.
Well, there shouldn't be any doubt anyway. But obviously, in the Lucy Letby case, they would have sentenced her to death. But like you say, there should be this like 10-year gap or something in between.
Yeah, I mean, Jenny will know more about this than anyone else from America, and it's different in different states, isn't it? And then they don't all have it. I mean, it's just different, and
yeah, it's different. Yeah, different states there.
And you get political involvement that a governor's got sometimes the right to commute a sentence, and that's happened before. So, but you know, we've got the cases. The classic case that springs to mind is of Timothy Evans in the Reginald Christie case, that they hanged him and he was innocent. He was innocent, and brilliantly played by John Hurt in the film. Jay Baxter says it was her fault. If you know you have epilepsy and you've been told never to drive again, getting behind the wheel's dangerous driving. Yeah, causing death by dangerous driving is a charge, isn't it? Or is it an offence, specific offence, even if no accident occurs, right? Yeah, I suppose that might be the same, like if your eyesight's below a certain level, things like that as well. Thank you, Jay Baxter. Sonia White says, oh, for fuck's sake, I used to read my grandparents' medical dictionary and I had everything that was in it. Yeah. We used to have a book growing up, and it was like, it had some terrible stuff in it. It was like from the turn of the century, the century before the last one. It was just grim, you know. But you can, on the internet now, you can look up, you can end up diagnosing yourself with everything, can't you? I don't know if anyone else does that.
I think ChatGPT has been diagnosing, telling people to go to A&E, worrying them unnecessarily when people type in their symptoms, saying, "Oh, they've got a brain tumor or something," and they've got nothing.
Well, I know, because it's like a headache or tension or whatever, or dry mouth or whatever. You can have all symptoms can be applicable to so many things. But Tim says, I might wind it down in a little while, but I'm going to go through these comments now. Now that the prosecution case has crumbled under expert review, which it has, is there any evidence left that has not been shown to be nonsense? I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything that ever should have stood up in the first place.
No, there wasn't any in the first place to me, so I don't, you know.
Yeah, there wasn't any in the first place. So but absolutely, there certainly isn't anything that's credible, and which is why there's not going to be a retrial. It's an absurd. I don't think there can be a retrial. COCH had a reputation of being bad, according to Phil Hammond. Oh, right. Did that come up in one of the what do you call it? Private Eyes. It's always been quite low. Well, very low actually, in terms of speed of dealing with sepsis, hasn't it? Hospital wide, came very low on the tables for sepsis control and sepsis. The minimum amount of time you're meant to have to deal with it.
Do you remember reading that they had I think it was RSV scare, and this is from the Thirlwall inquiry, and then they said it was a false positive or something, and that kind of got me thinking: was it really a false positive?
Yeah, well, exactly. It's just, I mean, Dewey Evans. It's just Dewey Evans said that had that been his. This is the bizarre thing, you know. Everybody's stable, all the babies are stable, but he acknowledged to John Sweeney, wasn't it? He said, but had that been the unit and I had known about the Pseudomonas, it would have been shut down.
You just shut it down, yeah.
Shut it all down. So he's in alignment with Shu Lee on that point.
Yeah, yeah.
So that the irony of ironies there. So the Luke Mitchell case is as shocking as the Lucy Letby. I think it is very shocking. I agree, Jay Baxter. A man literally had a wank beside her corpse in the woods. Yeah, there was a discarded. Was discarded. What do you call them? Can't think of the word. Condom. Yeah. And the police casually disregarded him as a suspect. Yeah, there was these other two guys seen on a moped and a motorbike. And there wasn't any blood at all or anything.
I'll have to look up this case later.
Yeah, I think
I've been intrigued now. I didn't know anything about it.
There's some really very moving and strong documentaries on YouTube about it. And the mum is a very heroic person and has gone through hell. Luke Mitchell's mother, is accused of burning his coat and purchasing an identical new one, aging it and making it look exactly the same within a couple of hours. Yeah, you obviously know a lot of the granular details there, Jay Baxter. That's true. About the coat issue. Back to the hospital, it was a failing excuse for a hospital. Trevor Chappell says, it was born-again Christians who were behind the Orkney case. Right.
I'm going to go into spectator mode, Mark. All right.
Yeah.
Out and watch.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, Mervyn. I really appreciate it. Thanks for... And don't mention any of the private stuff. We'll put that on ice for the moment.
I'll give you a 20% discount.
It's a family audience. So, well, that's a different channel. I'll have to. Anyway, good to see you, and thanks very much for coming on. It's great to see you. I'm going to probably wind down now because I need to go to the loo, and I'm flagging a bit. But we've had a good talk, I think. Covered quite a lot of different things, haven't we? Oh God, it's just me there. I'm gonna make myself smaller. How do I do that? That's better, isn't it? It's too much of me. Who do you think are the higher powers keeping Lucy in prison? I think it goes to people in the so-called government. But what is the government? I just don't know what the government is anymore, really. But it's the establishment, for want of a better descriptor. The establishment, and that's not necessarily the Labour Party or the Conservative Party. It's the establishment who don't want this turning around. Hi, Glenn. It's lovely to see you. I'm probably going to be winding down now. Getting a bit tired. Sometimes God is in control. Well, yeah, and the spirit of God, or the positivity of the universe, and natural law will win out, and it's working through people like Mark MacDonald and Dr. Shu Lee and all of us to in a sense, I think, Love you, Mervyn. Oh, that's sweet. So yeah, Mervyn's gone into listener mode. Good to see Mervyn. Luke needs help on this case from the public. Yeah, I do follow the Twitter account, but he should be out, but won't admit his guilt, so he can be kept in indefinitely. Well, that's happened so many other cases that people would have done their sentence, and they haven't done. I can't think of the names off, but there's a number of them that had they acknowledged something that they didn't do, they would have been released by now, and they can't do it for obvious reasons because they didn't do it. He's appealed the decision to refuse parole. Not sure the outcome of it, if any, yet. I just hope they sort that out. So I think that's the end of coming up to the end of the stream now. Thanks ever so much to Mervyn again, and to everybody who has commented and listened, whether you've commented or not. And thanks in advance to anybody who might watch this on a catch-up sort of thing. So it's quite a short one. 2 hours, 36 minutes and 6 seconds and ongoing. So I'm going to say goodnight to you all. Wish you a very good Sunday, which is already Sunday here in the UK. Take care of yourselves and each other. And Lucy Letby will be exonerated. She will be free. Good night for now, and see you again soon. Bye-bye.